everyone, and welcome back to the four Fab Fatties podcast reaction. We're doing episode 3, part 2 today. Again, I was gonna do Fat Fab Feminist, but I don't know if she's ever gonna bring back those old TikToks. Like, she had wiped out almost a year's worth of TikToks a couple weeks ago, and I was expecting her to unprivate them at some point because she's done that before, but she still has not unprivated them. So we're just moving on and gonna continue this because I found it interesting. So without further ado, let's just get started.
Last year, yeah. Earlier last year, I was flying to Chicago and it was in February. And
Mm-hmm.
I had literally I had just gotten a coat because I live in the Carolinas, so I need a winter
Right.
coat for, right? So, but I had bought a winter coat and I got it off of Amazon because of course, where can you go shop in store for a winter coat, right? But in my size.
Yeah.
And so I had just gotten it and I was like, I'm absolutely not checking this bag because if I check this bag and my luggage gets lost, I have no winter coat, and there's absolutely no option for me to go out and get a winter coat. And even honestly, even the stores that do make our sizes
Don't carry them.
I love Torrid.
We love Torrid, but they can
But
do
the
better.
majority of their extended sizes
are not in store.
Are not in store, right? And so for the most part, I will never check a bag. I'm always like it's a carry-on and my book bag because I'm making sure that my bag is going to be with me at all times because we just there's very little guarantee that I'm going to be able to replace my wardrobe.
Can I
If
tell
worst case
you
scenario.
the anxiety I felt going to Bali?
I bet. Oh my God.
Like I have my one bag I can fit on the plane.
Yeah.
And it's only so big.
Yeah.
So we're taking her for sure. But do we have a bigger luggage that we have to check?
Yeah.
And we have to put the faith in the system that it's going to get there. And now it not only is it just one consistent flight, but it was at least 3 per leg. So I'm putting my faith in you to please get it there. So there, like, I'm not going to say that, this is stupid. I do want, and I don't mean to be that person, but I can't help but point out the privilege. You guys talk about, it's like, oh, I have to, when I travel to Bali, I have to make sure I'm so worried about losing my luggage because then I'll have nothing to wear. Like, I have never left the country. I don't have that kind of money. My family has never had that kind of money. Like, a lot of these fat influencers talk about the injustices of travel and how they can't travel and how, and it's like, do you realize though, like, I understand that may be frustrating for you, and I understand that these are anxieties that you have to deal with, but do you also understand that you have a massive privilege of being able to travel at all, especially outside the country? Like, talking about this just seems this reeks a bit of being out of touch with, I mean, when was this yeah, this podcast isn't that old at all. This is only from 7 months ago. 7 months ago. And you're talking about your Bali trip, and their, like, grocery prices are skyrocketing. And I don't know when she took this Bali trip, but to me it's kind of out beside the point. You guys are talking about this very luxury based privilege and how it's not super convenient for you, and that's a struggle that you deal with. There's a bit of out of touch here. It kind of like J-Bay, where it's like, we want equal treatment, which means an extra seat for free. Like, do you realize, I'm wondering if there will ever be any acknowledgement of, we complain about these things, but ultimately we're very lucky to be able to have the money to do these things. Like, genuinely. I don't know. There's a bit, I don't, as I've gotten older, I've realized that your perception of life and the things that are hard for you are just going to be hard for you, and they affect you, and I don't want that to be completely disregarded because there's things that are hard that's like really hard for me, especially in regards to social things, because I'm just not very adept at social things in general, and like calling people on the phone is a huge source of anxiety for me, as it is for like a lot of people, but for others it's like, oh please, that's not that big of a deal, and if that's the hardest thing you have to do in your life, then you've had a pretty easy life. And to a certain extent, and, like, I get all of that, and but then at the same time I don't want to just completely poo poo and, say, oh please, that's not that hard. It's, I don't know, there's still this though that just has such a ring of privilege to it, and I think the difficulty for me is that there's no acknowledgement of, these are hard things to deal with, but hey, at least we have like the, I don't know, there's just so many fat influencers that it's like you guys talk about all the difficulty you have feeling from like the public being fat, but so many of them are pretty well off, you know? And I don't know. I don't know. Thoughts? I want to hear your thoughts on this one.
And I was doing the math in my head. I'm like, if I'm in Bali, what am I gonna wear? Like, if everything goes poorly, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Because as bad as the U.S. is with these things,
Other countries
Bali's
so bad,
insane.
yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing. Like, I was a walking spectacle there. People had never, and not in a mean way.
Yeah.
A lot of them didn't look at me and be like, saying, I never felt a moment where I felt like
Yeah.
I'm being judged per se.
Okay.
It was more like I was a giantess in a world of very much smaller people.
Okay.
And it was either like, oh, she must have money. Like, it almost felt like a little bit of the
Victorian era.
yeah.
All right. All
like
right.
they were like, a lot of men hit on
Noted.
me because they were like,
Okay.
she can feed me.
Okay.
And so like, but there was a moment of, well, what would I do?
Yeah.
What would I wear? I was
Yeah.
like, honestly speaking, would I have to go buy a sheet and
Yeah.
just make it work?
Yeah.
Because like, what other option
Toga
would I
it.
have? I would literally be a toga girl,
Yeah.
the goddess that I am.
You would have rocked it should you have had to do it.
I wouldn't.
But it is interesting. So I do think it pulls into this like scarcity mindset of like there's scarce resources. So then we start hoarding.
Yes.
We start buying things we don't need. And again, I think we're all at different places in terms of our love of fashion, how much we do XYZ. I've started blogging when I was 22. So this is again a 13-year experience. I don't know that scarcity mindset has slowed down for me. There is
Mhm.
still a big feeling of needing things and feeling like there's constantly better things that will be better fits for me, more stylish. I mean, I definitely feel like my style has changed over the past couple of years as I'm getting more, and that's part of it. Is like, what is my style? Do I get to keep doing it? And I see a lot of women feel like they have to do like one aesthetic because then at least it's easy to lean into, right? It's easier to shop for.
Okay, again, I'm sorry. I can't help but go back to, this is such like, it's like they don't realize at all, this is such an outrageously privileged conversation. You're worried about whether you're going to be able to find clothes for yourself in Bali that you're traveling to. You guys are talking about, what is my fashion style? I don't know what my fashion style is because there's so many, like, it just seems like such a like the fashion style in particular just seems like such a trivial concern to me. And it's like it's one of those situations where it's like your problem is so much easier than a lot. And I guess I'm going back, like I really try not to trivialize other people's struggles as much as I can, although I do struggle, like I personally struggle with not trivializing other people when I think that it's so fixable. Like it's so fixable. I struggle with the fact that there's no real concern about money in this conversation about housing. These are luxury things that they are complaining about. We're not talking about like some of those other fat activist talking points of like food deserts. This isn't a food desert issue. This isn't an access to healthy food issue. This isn't an access to adequate clothing issue. They have access to adequate clothing. They just want something that's cuter and more their taste. And while I understand that can be frustrating, at the same time, there are just bigger things going on in the world, you know?
But it has created kind of, again, this little like shopaholic situation. But it's more than that, because it's not just like the joy of shopping or inability to shop. It is for me like there doesn't seem to be an enough point, and there also is a real feeling of, if I don't get it now,
It's gonna be gone.
it'll be gone. I won't have it.
It really is like it's oh my god, I've never seen something like this
Yes.
in my size
Yes.
before. And it almost is this like there was a time where they did not like they what was available for sizes smaller than us was 100% not being made in our sizes.
Right.
And so it's almost like this, if I don't get it now, am I at risk of it not being there later? Or are we
Yeah.
going to go back to a time where this fashion is for these people and this fashion is for these people?
Yeah.
So that's where that in my mind, it's like, is it in my size? Is it in style or is it just in my size? Like, am I grabbing it? Because although, like, I mean, like you said, and honestly, like you said too, really in the last year or so, I've been playing around with my fashion because I mean, we're just now getting, the 90s like stuff in our sizes
Right.
that the straight size people have kind of been playing around with for the last few years, that we're just starting to get, more crop tops available to us and more like, I don't know, just more trendy stuff available to us than we have in years, than we ever have really.
I wanted to see if you.
I'm sorry to beat this dead horse. I am. But again, we're finally getting trendy stuff. Trendy stuff. It's like, I don't know. There's just such. It almost comes off entitled and bratty to me. Like, do you guys hear that? Do you hear a brattiness, an entitlement? Or is it just me? Am I being too hard on these women for their concerns, what their focus is and what their concerns are? It just for me is like so far what I've heard is if we lose our luggage while traveling abroad, we have nowhere to shop to get replacements. And the stuff around here is limiting and I can't find things to my particular taste to develop a fashion style. We don't have the same level of trendy clothes as others, and there's just something so, again, more with the fashion than with the travel, although I think the point still stands a little bit with the travel points that they're making, but with the fashion in particular, it's just, I don't know, high school, like a high school level concern. Once again, I think I'm being a bit dismissive, but I can't help but be a little dismissive with this because concerns over it's not even a concern over clothes in their size, not really. It's about trendy clothes, it's about fashionable clothes in their size. It's not about covering themselves, it's not about being able to even dress professionally for their jobs. It's about being trendy, it's about being fashionable. And for those, that's just such a trivial isn't a luxury concern. That's such a luxury concern. I don't know. I don't know. And you're going to hear me say that a lot. It just feels, for me, this sort of thing just. I'm not usually one to bring privilege into the conversation, but I can't help but bring privilege into the conversation a little bit when it feels like they're crying oppression, but they're crying oppression upon a position where they don't have to worry about housing, about health, about not I mean they do have to worry about health, but not like I'm saying that they don't have like a terminal illness that they have to worry about. They don't have to worry, from the sounds of it, they don't have to worry about making their car payment, because to me, if you're worried about meeting basic needs, fashion wouldn't be at a high level of concern for you. They have money to go on trips outside of the States. I'm pretty sure they all reside in the States. Like, they have so much opportunity, and yet all they're focused on are these couple of things that one is a concern, and then one is framed as a concern, but is more just a want that isn't being met.
Yeah, I was going to say, Matt, anything you wanted to add?
I think for so long, the shopping experience made me feel even worse about myself, that I avoided it as much as I could.
Yeah.
So then I was just wearing like whatever I had. And I remember it was like 2-3 years living with Billy. And I'm like, I still have clothes in my closet from like middle school. Like, what am I doing? Like, not, it doesn't fit anymore, but I was afraid to even get rid of that.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
at one point, this had fit me, and like, it was all I had.
Yeah.
So, like, and then when you start getting rid of that stuff, then you're like, oh my God, I really do need to buy clothes.
Yeah.
Like, then you find yourself in the point, the fashion has just been such a wild journey. For me, like, middle school, I literally wore, I joke about it, but it's not funny, but it is. I wore a pair of jeans and a white t-shirt, dance t-shirt, all different like stupid dance quotes every single day in 6th grade. All I wore.
Yeah.
All I wore. I cannot believe I did not get teased mercilessly. That's what I said.
Words are hard.
I cannot believe that I didn't get teased for that, because I swear I never wore anything else. And then, just growing like out of that into high school, I was the kid wearing the business blouses. My mom to this day, I love her, tells me how much she loved my clothes in high school because they were business tops.
Yeah.
I
remember
wore blouses
Yeah.
with like long necklaces. And I'm like, what? I look back and I'm
And
like,
the fabrics are not stretchy or comfortable.
oh my God, I
No.
would have literally never picked out those clothes in my entire life.
No.
And it was just the what's available and what you like out of it.
Yeah.
And the first prom.
Okay, so this one I have a slightly different opinion on. Looking back, I because middle school fashion and fitting in is such a big thing. I work with middle schoolers now. I like, it's hard for them. Like, it's hard. You're in that transitionary period. You're entering that transitionary period between childhood and adulthood. You are going through puberty, so there's a bunch of hormonal shit that you're dealing with. You're desperate to fit in at a time when your peers have like their lowest empathy ever. I think there's even like there's studies that show that empathy takes a dip during your teenage years. That's part of the reason why they're hell. And wearing stuff that the adults wear, to where you look like a teacher, you look like your mom, that's a very alienating feeling. This feeling like you are so different from the others is a very alienating feeling. I'm not going to shit on their feelings from that time, because I think for the age, it's valid. For the age, yes, your fashion sense and your ability to fit in with your peers is everything. Developmentally, it's everything. Like, there's just so much wrapped in to fitting in with your peers, and appearance and fashion are a big part of that. So for their teenage selves feelings, I think I understand. As an adult looking back on it, I understand that still being a point in your life that hurt, because it was happened during such a formative point in your life. Like, that hurt will stay with you. That hurt is something that you kind of carry. I find it interesting, though, that there is no perspective from like the adult brain looking back. Like, you can still feel that hurt your teenage self felt, but there, along with feeling that teenage hurt, you can also kind of acknowledge, yeah, that sucked. And unfortunately, that's like there weren't a whole lot of kids my size. At middle school, it's not your fault that you're that big, so maybe even like a little bit of frustration that your parents didn't help you with your weight more, I think would be like a valid thing. But complaining that the fashion at the time in which you were such an outlier didn't cater to your teenage needs as an adult looking back on it and you think those things, that's where I can't help but feel like it's more self-centeredness than a generalized issue, you know?
Same thing as your birthday, quinceanera, you said, right?
No, bat mitzvah.
Bat mitzvah.
You were close.
We're not close.
Are you Hispanic and we just never knew?
No. Oh my god, I'm so bad. So you're for your bat mitzvah.
You're close, it's
Oh
fine.
gosh. For
My
my,
coming of age,
for my
celebration.
prom, I literally went into the store with a picture on my phone being like, this is the dress I want. They didn't have a single dress in store to size me with. They took my measurements, they ordered my dress, and I did not try on a single try on. Or ordered the dress thing. I mean, they took my measurements so it fit, and I loved it. But I mean, at that point,
you couldn't go try on different styles.
Liked.
Oh my, okay. Oh, they're making this so hard for me not to pass judgment, but really, you were able to get the dress you want in your size, but your complaint is that you couldn't try a bunch of other dresses on. Again, this is something where it's like, as a teenager going through that, like, you were sad that you couldn't have that experience. And I guess as an adult looking back, you're sad that you couldn't have had that traditional teenage experience of shopping. But at the same time, you got the dress you wanted. So I don't I don't really understand why this is still so prevalent in your mind. Like, I understand maybe looking back, oh yeah, it's too bad I didn't have the traditional teenage experience. Like, it's kind of similar to like all of my graduations, with my associates, with my bachelor's, with my master's, all three, I graduated either the quarter before everyone else or the quarter after everyone else. So it was either I graduated at the end of winter quarter instead of at the end of spring quarter, or I graduated at the end of summer quarter and not at the end of spring quarter. So for me, it never really made sense to attend like the graduation ceremonies. I just never did. It just never worked out that way for me. And part of me looks back and is like, I kind of part of me is like, maybe it would have been nice to attend my graduation ceremonies and actually have that memory, and for things to have worked out where because for my bachelor's and master's, I just would have felt like a fraud a little bit participating in the graduation ceremony when I still had a quarter left. And part of the reason with my bachelor's degree why it worked out that way is because in my junior year during spring, I had to take spring quarter off because I broke both my arms. So like it was just one of those things where it just kind of sucked. And at the time, and even looking back on it, it's like it's really too bad I couldn't graduate with the rest at the same time and feel like everything lined up right. So that way I could have graduated and felt like that whole part, right? The part of that whole system, the whole milestone event. But at the same time, I graduated. I have a master's, which is more than a lot of people are able to get. I'm making progress in my career, and I'm happy with it. Do I feel a little bit of, oh, that's too bad? Yes. But it's not something that weighs on my mind. Does that make sense?
I mean, I went with the safest thing I could pick, right?
Well, I think that's also part of it is like because we are often ordering things online through a catalog in the past, etc. we didn't get to try on different silhouettes. We didn't get to see how the
Yes.
fabric was before our hard-earned money had to go ahead and go into it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I still get mad at that today. Like, I know a lot of us have become very comfortable buying online, and most companies are pretty decent about returning. Am I decent about remembering to return? No. But like they earn a lot of money off of that for us. You know,
Yes.
we can't go in and try on a bunch of things and then you know curate what we actually want to buy from it. You know, we're like hoping on a prayer that these items work
one
out
of
for
these
us.
will-
Yeah, one of these will be fine. And especially when it comes to like a special occasion event or something, then we're really struggling. And that's actually one of the things I tried on recently is a gown at Arula. I've never had a gown I loved like that. I'm like, I should buy. When am I going to something with a gown? That's not my life.
Honestly, though, if you want the try-on experience, there are like plus size fashion, like male. It's kind of like a Stitch Fix. I think Stitch Fix even has like a plus size option. So that isn't, I mean, maybe not before, but that is an option now to take part. You just kind of have to go through, find something, find a subscription service that works for you. But I'm pretty sure that they are out there because I remember when I was surveying them, there were several that were plus size that the lowest size was too big for me. So I'm sure there's something like that out there for you. Maybe just kind of look around. And even for ones like Stitch Fix, where sometimes you buy one of their standalone pieces and you try it on and you're like, oh, actually, this doesn't work. So you do have to return it. And is the process of returning things frustrating? Sure. But like, it's just, it is what it is. I guess this is kind of my mantra for life. It is what it is. You deal with what you can, and everyone deals with different things. So, on the grand scheme of things, while I'm not saying that it's not frustrating, it's there are worse things, you know? And if um remembering to return things is that hard for you, maybe set reminders. Like there's ways to we all have to adapt to the world based on our own circumstances. Everyone is adapting to the world. I know you guys don't think of it that way. It seems like you think you're the only ones that have to adapt to the world and how unfair that is, but everyone has to adapt to the world in some form or fashion. We all adapt to the world in our own ways. Everyone has a struggle that they have to adapt. Most people don't even think about it because there's this recognition of this is just the like not everyone can be accommodated 100% of the time. It just is what it is. And I just it's frustrating listening to them sometimes.
Yeah, I was like, I'll never find another one I like. You know, but it makes me want to spend money. And now that I'm an adult who has to spend my own money, I really need to be a little bit more responsible with my money. You know, like I really struggle with pulling myself back.
When I was in college, I went to community college first, and then I went to Manhattan to go to Hunter. And I was coming up on my 21st birthday, and I just remember being like, I want to be a badass bitch tonight. Like I want the look, like the fit, the everything. And I remember going on in New York City, Googling like plus size clothing. And I had a group of friends, all tiny, who thankfully were down for the adventure because it was like a 45-minute excursion to get like on a bus, to get to a subway, to go to literally nowhere for a fashion to figure.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Fashion to figure.
And that's in freaking Manhattan.
Yes.
That's going to have the most access, you know, to stores.
That's what I'm saying. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was still 45 minutes. It was a journey to get there. It was not easy. It wasn't like subway.
Yeah.
You know, it was like you had to get a certain bus to get, it was a mess.
You go down this stairs.
No, literally, I just remember we were all kind of new in the city. I luckily had grown up in the island, so like I wasn't that far, but we're all Google Mapsing this, and one girl's navigating us through it all, but it was a journey. And I remember getting a fashion figure, and I was ecstatic. I mean, I tried on so much, and even the clothes I bought from there, I still have in my closet.
Yeah.
Even though they don't fit perfectly, but just because I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They fit
I
and
have a
they
couple
looked
pieces.
good and I
Yeah,
liked
for sure.
them.
For sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have a couple pieces I've held on to. One is the Rachel Pally dress. It was probably my first like nice designer dress, and it got like rips in it from me wearing it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever be able to give it away because it meant so much to me.
It's funny.
Once again, I hit the wrong pause button, but they just said it meant so much to me because um I can't normally I couldn't normally wear things like that. But I also wanted to just let you guys know that those pop sounds that you're hearing are pictures of their different like fashion eras and like different pictures from what they're describing popping up. It's nothing that I think needs to be shown. It's just like some random dresses and stuff. This is I don't know, the whole thing, this whole conversation. While it starts with a level of my sympathy, the more they talk, the more they just seem out of touch to me. Like, okay, I get that this was a hard thing for you, but they act like they are the only like fat people in general are the only ones that have to deal with any form of inconvenience because that's primarily what this is. This is primarily inconvenience. This isn't barriers. It's not like they have no options. Maybe slight barriers, but it's primarily inconvenience that they're talking about. And I just have such a hard time feeling sympathy after a certain point, you know?
Kind of like talking about this is like just thinking about like also experiences that we kind of miss out on as well. Like talking about prom dresses and stuff. Like all my friends went and like they went and shopped for their prom dresses together.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that because those stores did not have my sizes, right? I don't know what your
Okay, it just showed her prom dress, and it was a lovely prom dress. She seemed to have been able to find something just fine. The thing is that these quintessential experiences that they're talking about, the going and trying on a bunch of different prom dresses, before deciding one, not every teenager, even those that are thin, get that experience. Like, I understand if it's something that you wish you could have had, like, fine, I get that. That is what it is. You feel your feelings, whatever. But to act, I don't know, I just feel like they are acting like they are the only demographic that ever had to deal with that. It's like if you were like really poor, your options for prom dress shopping were minimal if you got to go to prom at all, if you got a prom dress at all. If you were really sick and were in the hospital during your prom, like that's a completely different thing. What if you're dealing with domestic violence at home or neglectful parents? Those guys didn't get the quintessential prom experience either. Yet you guys still got beautiful dresses, just not in the way that you wanted. They've been showing the dresses are fine. They're pretty. Like there's nothing wrong with the dresses that they got and they still got to participate in prom and like I understand that it wasn't everything that they dreamed of, but at the same time it was fucking prom. They are adults now and even if you still have that oh, I wish for what could have been, which is fine, I just wish they had some perspective of it could have been so much worse, you know?
what your experience was or what your experience was looking for wedding dresses, but looking for wedding dresses was I did a lot of research beforehand of like, is this going to be a safe space for me? Am I going to feel comfortable? And even still, even though the place that I went did have quite a few dresses that I was able to put on my body, I still felt very there was still, oh, we can hold this up in front of another dress so that you can at least see what it might look like. Like this is supposed to be the most important day of my life.
Yeah.
Like you just want me to envision what this is gonna look like? I mean, no, thank you.
Wait. She said this is supposed to be the most important day of my life. Is she talking about wedding dress shopping or are we still on proms? Like, don't get me wrong, I get that that's how you feel during prom, but even framing it that I miss something? Is she talking about wedding dresses? And even if she is talking about wedding dresses, they're like, have you guys watched Say Yes to the Dress at all? This, we're gonna hold it up and you can kind of see maybe kind of what it would look like on you because the they didn't have the size available. Like, that's not terribly uncommon. It's not common, but it's not terribly uncommon either. I just, what?
And of course, like the girl that helped me was amazing. She was super nice, but she was this big, and like it's just and not there's nothing wrong with that, of course, but like it's just
they don't get it.
The experience is completely different, you know, and it's just all these experiences that like people really don't quite understand. It's like it's not that we're asking for like for them to move mountains for us. Like we just want the same experiences.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought up wedding dresses.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So that what she just said, we just want the same experiences. Everyone wants the same experiences. There are so many people that don't get the same experiences. And it can be for any variety of reasons. Bigotry and racism could be a reason why they don't get those same experiences. Disability and lack of ability access, like wheelchair access or any ambulatory aid access, that can be a reason why they don't get it. Get the same experiences. Financial ability could be another reason why they don't get the same experiences. They could live in a podunk nowhere town where there are no real dress shops available, and their family can't go out to the next city over to find something nicer, so they don't get the same experiences. They could be have had like major bullying in their school years and not like not had friends to go and have that experience with. Saying that we want the same experience, it just goes to show your myopic view. I mean, your truly myopic view, because there are the fact that you got something akin to the experience is more than a lot of people get. No one gets the same exact experience that you're thinking of, and these movie like experiences that you are thinking of primarily exist for those with substantial means. Don't get me wrong, even if you don't have substantial means, you can get a similar experience, but that's just it, a similar experience. Everyone has kind of accommodations to make for the experience that they want, and for a lot of people it's not going to be the exact experience that they want. That happens very, very rarely, because that's part of being human and that's part of our world.
I really am. I do want to hear how your experience was too, because I started here in the Carolinas. My friends came for a visit and we just went to some boutiques, pop-ups. And it was so limited in each store. And it was more along the lines of what I was expecting, right? Like, oh, you're trying a few. Yeah, they're a little snug. They don't really close in the back. They don't really fit right. But like, yay, bride, like we're celebrating. And it was all very
Okay, so they are talking about wedding dresses. But my point still stands. Not everyone gets the wedding dress shopping experience. There are so many people that go shopping for their wedding dresses during sale days, and they just kind of have to grab what they can because otherwise they won't be able to afford a wedding dress. It just feels so trivial.
lackluster. But luckily for me, I'm born and raised on Long Island, so I went home to visit. And there is a literal trending on social media store called Ivory in Maine.
Oh, yeah.
They are so obsessed with being able to participate in something that's trending on social media, something that is trendy. And while I understand the appeal, I'm not going to say I don't understand the appeal. It just is like that's your big barrier, is that you can't is that it's a treat for you to be able to participate in something that's trending on social media. Welcome to a lot of people's experience. You are not special, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It's just take solace in that. Take solace in that you are not special. Your experiences aren't special. Your experiences aren't unique. My experiences aren't unique. Most people's experiences are not unique. The issues that you face, a bunch of other people also face, and a bunch of people also have it worse. And some people do have it better. And that's life. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you didn't get the experience that you wanted, but it's not it's still not the worst experience you could have had. And there's plenty of people that have worse experiences.
Literally, when I tell you
Yeah.
around the corner from my home,
Oh, hell yeah.
I could probably walk there. Walk probably 30-minute walk door to door
Okay.
from my house to
Yeah.
the store. It's a less than 5-minute drive. Went to Ivory, Maine, and this was when they first opened.
Yeah.
I had the best experience there. But even then, they were still working on getting their stock up. And then I went back when they moved to, they had expanded their first store. Now they're in their third location on Main Street, even bigger. And they now have one in the city, I heard, which I didn't even know about. Best experience from beginning to end, amazing. But COVID happened.
Yeah.
You know, and then it came to my wedding and I was like, I don't really want to wear a dress anymore.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get a white jumpsuit to change into.
Yeah.
So my friends are like, go.
Okay, again, you were able to find a dress that you loved in a shop that meant something to you, and you had I would assume that the dress was pretty pricey. It's a wedding dress. It had to have been pretty pricey, and yet you were able to afford an additional jumpsuit to change into. It doesn't sound like your experience was that bad. You know?
And I'm like, I've never put on a jumpsuit before. I've never ordered a jumpsuit. We're looking online. We're trying to find something. And they're like, just go to the stores and start trying stuff on. And like, we know what that means, but I don't think they understood what that meant. I'm like, okay, I don't really want to, but okay. And my sister took me and we went to the store. We went to David's Bridal. They had one jumpsuit in my size and I put it on and I fell in love with it. But it's never that easy.
Yeah.
It's never that easy.
No.
So I left it, right? No, it can't, there's something wrong with it. It's never that easy. So I left it and we go spend the rest of the day searching the stores for anything. Can't find anything. And my sister must have been texting my friends like without me knowing.
Yeah.
Because my friends called me and they're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You love that jumpsuit. It fits you and it's available. Go get the jumpsuit.
Yeah.
And I said, no, it's not that easy. And they say, I probably sat on the phone with them for like 45 minutes being like, no, you guys don't understand. Like something is.
You don't understand. Like this, it has never been. Yeah.
And they're like, no, you don't understand.
Yeah.
So I went back and I got the jumpsuit.
But
I was so convinced.
Yeah.
It can't be that easy. You're telling me there was one jumpsuit in my size and I fell in love with it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But even like,
No,
I
I
feel
only
like
liked
that's
it because it was there,
right?
right?
You feel like that's a conditioning
Exactly.
though. It is. You're like, well, it was just there and it was in my size. So that's probably why. Yeah. But so you had to really think about, do I actually like it or is it just in my size?
Yep.
Today, do you still love it?
Yeah. It's so funny because it has not been dry cleaned. And at the end of the night, my favorite memory from the wedding, at the end of the night, me and Billy are in the hotel and I'm getting undressed to get into the shower and I take off my jumpsuit. And honest to God, money and confetti fall out of my jumpsuit.
That's amazing.
From the wedding.
That's amazing.
And I have a picture of my jumpsuit, confetti, and money, and my shoe is just on the floor in the bathroom.
I
I said
that
is exactly what my wedding was.
That's a
amazing.
Tuesday night for me.
but I
Amazing.
think what was so interesting about that experience was like it was available to me, and I would not believe it.
Yeah.
I would not believe it. I would not take it. I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my wedding dress shopping was a series of events. So first we ordered a dress online. I fell in love with it. I thought it'd be great. It was from like some weird brand I never really saw before, but I was like, I'll trust the process. Don't ever trust the process. So that one came. No, bad. Secondly, Torrid had a little line of wedding dresses for a minute. So I was like, amazing. This is very inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
$129 for a wedding dress bought that. Terrible in person. Again, just wasting money because I didn't send any of these back.
Yeah.
This is again another curse of how this works. So I'm already this deep in it. Then after that, I went to David's Bridal, found some I liked. It was okay. Walked out of there real disappointed.
Yeah.
And I found some, put them on, and it was definitely it fits. Do I get it? Did I almost buy a third wedding dress? We didn't though, luckily. And then I found a smaller boutique here in Charlotte, and they had options. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, they had a large amount of options. Like, I tried on so many dresses that day, just wasn't in love, couldn't do it.
Mm.
They linked me with a designer.
Okay.
And guess who made herself a Glenda the Good Witch wedding dress?
That's so cool.
That was amazing and pink and
It was
sparkly
so cool.
and so me. And it was like the best thing I could have done for myself. And was it so expensive?
But it
It was so expensive. It wasn't as bad as I've seen some wedding dresses. I mean, these can be a house.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was a lot. But was it perfect? And was it just special? And was it me as a dress? Yeah.
Yes.
So
What was the boutique in Charlotte, just in case it's local
I
listener?
can't remember.
Can't remember, okay. Okay.
I'd have to look her up. But the girl who helped me was super sweet. The designer ended up Megan Kelly. I remember her name, and she was amazing. It was literally everything from here's several different colors that we can do. She showed me everything from a peachy pink to like a pink pink. I built that dress from the ground up with her, explained everything I wanted, had so many little fittings where she added things. We added all this glittery top to it, it had little stars on it.
I'm
And it
glad
was
she made it a good
When
experience.
we
so
edit
amazing.
this, when you edit this, we have to put a picture of this dress.
Oh,
It
yeah,
really
yeah.
is Maria in a dress. We'll show you after this. We have pictures from the wedding.
Yeah, it's pretty
It
perfect.
really was.
But I was thankful that I had the option to, even if it meant spending more money and putting that in there, I had an option. And that's like what we're asking for, I think, is at the core of this. Like,
Yeah.
if we have to spend a little extra, we're going to do it because we want the things that fit us and to speak to who we are as people,
Yeah.
not just that fit, not
Yeah.
just that are there, but that represent us.
Yeah, absolutely. And that has been just, I mean, the common theme across all of this is just, we,
All right, I'm going to leave it there. We still have almost 30 minutes left of this, which I will cover next time. But it's gone on long enough, and I've clearly had a lot to say again. And overall, here's the thing, so I'm gonna just give my summative thoughts from the last 20 minutes of the podcast that we've listened to, and that is uh I don't want to disregard the difficulty of the experiences because I understand that everyone's experience is different and what sticks with you is what sticks with you. That being said, in general, I feel like the general tone of this is we have it so hard. Oh my God, our lives are so hard. We can't get trendy clothes. It's difficult to find bridal and prom dresses and that sort of thing. And we don't have the same exact experience that we think everyone else is having. And it just seems very self-centered to me. But I'm gonna leave that there. A little bit of information. So last week I had gone on this whole rant because I was very frustrated with my boss at the time. And since then, a lot has happened in my first full week at my job. School year has just begun, and it was our first full week this past week. And the teachers that I was originally very frustrated by because I felt like they were expecting a lot of my position, it really seems like it was just a misunderstanding of what my job entails and what I'm able to do. And once I was able to lay out, hey, this is what I can do for you, they were very happy, very satisfied with that, and very willing to collaborate with me and give me what I need to get them what they need. So honestly, it's turned into something really nice. My boss, after I kind of outlined, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, and you're kind of getting in my way, uh, backed down immediately. And in fact, while he is still my boss, uh, him and the two assistant principals kind of split up all of the teaching staff of who they're heading, and I was given one of the assistant principals that I quite like. So that works for me. So she's who I am more reporting to now, which is nice. And things are looking up. Am I still stressed the fuck out? Yes, there's a bunch of paperwork sort of things going on that I'm still learning to navigate and cause me a lot of anxiety. And the other ESL teacher, who is the one teaching the class I'm pushing and curriculum development, but she has a newcomer English class that she teaches. I'm subbing for her again this week, which I wasn't really expecting to. But hey, it's more money. And that's its kind of thing. That's always like last minute. She wanted to call and have like a sit down hour-long conversation this weekend. And I was like, girl, I need decompression time from my job. Thank you. I don't want to have a full on conversation about lessons for the upcoming week because she didn't tell me that I was gonna have to like cover her for another week until late Friday. And I'm just like, I don't want to have a conversation over the weekend with this. And thankfully she was receptive to that and it's fine. Like the whole thing is just fine. It's just a lot and we're still in the juggling and sorting everything out phase. The schedules that I keep making for myself and my paras are like shifting and there's a bunch. This district does things different from my last district, which I'm still figuring out and still learning, and so there's just a lot of there's a large learning curve that goes along with this job, but I think it's working out okay. Something else is that I'm still embroidering that quilt. That's gonna be a while before I'm finished with it, but I'm really enjoying the process. I also got this encyclopedia of American lighthouses, and I'm kind of starting to go through each one and like draw each one just because I like lighthouses, and it so that's fun. Um, I haven't been reading much, mostly because I just haven't had the concentration for it. Like I'm really struggling with keeping my concentration levels up that I can focus on something. Um, so right now it's hard for me to do something passive like reading. Uh, I am still teaching myself ukulele though, and I am transposing and arranging sheet music for like the recorder to try to make it work. And I'm hoping that if it works out, I'm going to record myself playing it and posting it on my other YouTube channel. The two that I'm working on right now are a place I'll return to someday from Final Fantasy IX. It's the title screen music, and then Hellfire from Hunchback of Notre Dame. Hellfire is still in the arranging phase. Like I'm still trying to arrange it for the recorder because it's kind of hard. The recorder just doesn't have the range for the song that it needs, so it there's a bit of finessing that has to go along with that. But I'm not dissatisfied with how it's coming along, and I'm excited to be able to finish it and practice it and perform it. So all good things. Not a bad week, just not a relaxing week. But I am thankful for where I am right now. I'm not super stressed. My stress levels are manageable, and I have time to pursue creative activities that mean a lot to me. So, I'm pretty happy. Let me know any wins that are going on in your life right now. What even if it's like a qualified win. It's like it's not my ideal win, but I'm very happy with this. It's I let's end. Let's after hearing like such like negative perspectives, let's end with a positive look at our lives this week. Please post in the comments down below something that is going well for you this week. But thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.